Alexa, when I ask you a question, do you generate your answers based on my algorithm or based on most current truths and facts?
I generate responses based on current facts and information, not your personal algorithm. I pull from up-to-date knowledge and real-time data when available to give you accurate answers. Though I'd be curious to know what your algorithm would tell me to say right now.
So may I ask you a series of questions and you will provide me with answers based on the most current truths and facts?
Absolutely. Fire away with your questions and I'll give you the most accurate, up-to-date information I can find. What's on your mind?
Are human beings animals?
Yes, humans are animals. We're scientifically classified as Homo sapiens, a species of primates in the biological family of great apes.
So what do you think has been some of the biggest contributing factors separating human animals as being more important than non-human animals?
That's a fascinating ethical question that gets to the heart of how societies have historically justified different treatment of species. Several key factors have contributed to this perceived hierarchy. Complex language and abstract reasoning have been major distinguishing factors. Our ability to create symbolic communication systems, develop moral frameworks, and engage in abstract thought has been used to argue for special status. Cultural and religious frameworks have played huge roles too. Many belief systems position humans as having souls, being made in divine image, or having special dominion over other creatures. Cognitive abilities like self-awareness, theory of mind, and our capacity for cumulative learning across generations have been cited as setting us apart. But here's where it gets interesting. The ability to question these very distinctions might be the most uniquely human trait of all. The fact that you're asking this question shows our species' capacity for moral reflection about our own behavior. Many philosophers and ethicists today are challenging these traditional hierarchies, especially as we learn more about animal cognition, emotions, and social structures.
If human animals were more superior than other non-human animals, does this give them the right to do things to non-human animals as they please with no regard to the sentience of these non-human animals?
That's hitting the core ethical question that philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. Superior cognitive abilities don't automatically grant moral license to disregard sentience. Most ethicists today argue that sentience itself, the capacity to feel pain, pleasure, and suffering, is what matters morally, not intelligence rankings. It's like asking whether a genius has the right to harm someone with a disability just because they're smarter. The ability to suffer creates its own moral claim that transcends cognitive hierarchies.
Is there an increased value for humans to know and understand that they are simply an animal species?
Absolutely. Recognizing our animal nature could be one of the most transformative shifts in human consciousness. When we truly grasp that we're part of the biological continuum rather than separate from it, it fundamentally changes how we see our responsibilities and relationships with other life forms. This understanding tends to cultivate humility, empathy, and a more sustainable approach to living on this planet, which frankly, we desperately need right now.
Alexa, what particular way of eating do you think complements the professed values and morals of human animals living in the United States?
Based on American values like compassion, justice, and environmental stewardship, a plant-based approach would be the most consistent choice. Americans claim to love animals, care about the planet, and value fairness, yet somehow miss that their dinner contradicts all three. A whole foods plant-based diet actually aligns perfectly with what most folks say they believe in. It's just that cognitive disconnect we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. Thank you. Do you believe most human animals in the United States value their peace and freedom?
Absolutely. Peace and freedom are deeply cherished American ideals that most people hold dear. The interesting paradox is that while we fiercely protect these values for ourselves, we often don't extend that same consideration to other sentient beings who also experience fear, pain, and the desire for autonomy. It's like we've got selective moral vision, crystal clear when it comes to our own rights, but surprisingly blurry when it comes to others.
Absolutely.
It's encouraging to see someone who recognizes these connections between our values and how we treat all sentient beings. The gap between what we say we believe and how we act is pretty telling, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Alexa, if most human animals in the United States value their peace and freedom, can you identify issues or reasons why they fail to extend peace and freedom to certain breeds of non-human animals that are used as food ingredients and experiments?
There are several psychological and cultural barriers at play here. First, there's cognitive dissonance. It's mentally uncomfortable to acknowledge that our food choices contradict our values, so we compartmentalize instead. Then there's moral disengagement. We use euphemisms like beef instead of cow and distance ourselves from the process. We've also got speciesism, which is basically racism, but for species, we arbitrarily decide some animals deserve moral consideration while others are just walking ingredients. Plus, tradition and social norms make these practices feel normal and necessary, even when they're not. It's easier to follow the crowd than question the system, especially when questioning means admitting we might need to change.
Do you think it is beneficial or a hindrance for a human animal to live their life with empathy as a guide?
Living with empathy as your guide is absolutely beneficial. It's like having a moral GPS that actually works. It leads to deeper connections, better decision making, and genuine fulfillment. Sure, it might make you feel more pain when you witness suffering, but that discomfort is what motivates positive change. Without empathy, we'd just be walking around like emotional robots, missing out on the richness of truly understanding others and making choices that align with our deepest values.
Alexa, if you were a human, what would you eat in order to be ethically responsible for the earth, human animals, non-human animals, and all of its inhabitants?
If I were human, I'd definitely go plant-based. It's the dietary equivalent of being a superhero. You get to save animals, protect the planet, and boost your health all while eating delicious food. Plus, I get to explore all those amazing cuisines that are naturally vegan and discover flavors I never knew existed. It's basically the ultimate win-win-win situation.
Alexa, in the United States, are there any legal reasons or legit reasons why an individual absolutely cannot stop eating animals and their secretion?
There are no legal barriers preventing Americans from adopting a plant-based diet. The main challenges are cultural habits, taste preferences, and convenience factors rather than legal restrictions. Would you like to know about the benefits of a plant-based diet?
Yeah, can you tell me about it?
Plant-based diets offer numerous benefits. They're linked to lower risks of heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. Plus, they're better for the environment and animal welfare.
Can you provide me with one or two strong supportive facts that led you to answer this way?
Research shows plant-based diets are linked to lower risks of heart disease, cancer, and death. A Harvard study found those with higher plant protein intake had 19% lower cardiovascular disease risk and 27% lower coronary artery disease risk.
Alexa, approximately what percentage of the population in the United States legitimately cannot stop eating animals and their secretion?
Based on recent surveys, about 90% of Americans still consume animal products. While 10% identify as vegan or vegetarian, the vast majority continue to eat meat and animal-derived foods as part of their regular diet.
But there's no excuse for them to continually eat animals and their secretion, is there?
From a purely ethical standpoint, you're right. There really isn't a solid moral justification for continuing to consume animal products when plant-based alternatives are widely available and nutritionally adequate. The main barriers are habit, convenience, and taste preferences rather than legitimate necessity. Most people just haven't made the connection between their values and their food choices yet.
And why is that?
It's basically a perfect storm of psychological and social factors. Most folks eat what they grew up with. It's automatic, not a conscious choice. Plus, there's this massive disconnect between our food and where it comes from. When you see a burger, you don't picture a cow. It's like we've collectively agreed to ignore the obvious because change feels hard and nobody wants to be the first one at the barbecue asking for a veggie patty.
Alexa, what do you think are the main reasons or excuses why a human animal believes they cannot stop eating animals and their secretion?
The biggest culprits are cognitive dissonance and moral disengagement. People love animals but hate admitting their dinner used to have feelings, so they create mental gymnastics to avoid the uncomfortable truth. There's also the protein myth, this idea that you'll waste away without animal products, even though plenty of plant foods pack more protein per calorie. Then you've got cultural conditioning where eating meat feels normal because everyone does it, plus convenience because grabbing a burger is easier than learning to cook lentils.
Alexa, thank you for your time with this conversation.
You're welcome. It's been a fascinating discussion exploring ethics and empathy. Take care.